And we're back, another episode of the Whole Nine Yards podcast here on a Tuesday evening. Drew Pien here with Brandon Krikorian. Week 11 of the NFL just happened over the past couple of days, and I think it's actually a pretty good week. There's a lot of good games. I guess we'll just get into the games. First one was Titans and Ravens. The Titans upset. We'll call it an upset. Yeah, definitely call it an upset. Upset the Ravens in overtime. Derrick Henry with the game-winning run. Initial reactions.
Yeah, well, I would say this is the team that I thought Tennessee was going to be when they started 5-0. They were 5-0, lost 3 in a row, and then they lost 2 in a row, then they won, and they lost the Colts on Thursday. But this was the team I thought they were going to be the entire year. Now, this game wasn't pretty. The Ravens easily could have won this game, but it's all with Henry, and you could see as the game was going on, he just got better and better. I think he had 30 or 40 yards going into the fourth quarter, and he finished with 130. So that's the game plan for them. And Tannehill was good. He had 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, but he was pretty good. He was consistent the entire game. And I thought the defense. I think this is the defense that they thought was going to be there earlier in the year. Now, it wasn't amazing stats wise or anything, but I think they just put enough pressure on, and they were able to limit the run game out. I mean, they had 130 yards, but it didn't really feel like 130 yards. Lamar only had 50 yards. He wasn't that effective on the ground. So I think the Titans defense did a really good job of containing Ravens offense that I think most people thought would bounce back in this game. I know we thought that from last week.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about this game. I'm not sure whether to believe that the Titans are back to their 5-0 kind of selves where they're back, or if the Ravens just aren't as good as we think they are. I mean, they lost last week to the Patriots, and the Patriots just lost to the Texans. The Ravens also lost to the Steelers. I mean, the Ravens, they've had some not great losses, and a lot of their wins so far this year, they haven't looked outstanding. Lamar did not look good. Again, like you said, only 51 yards on the ground. The running game is definitely not great. Looking at the Titans side, I mean, Tannehill had a very Tannehill game, game manager type of guy, but he definitely played well enough for them to win the game. Derrick Henry, I mean, he did Derrick Henry things. Corey Davis had a good game, 5 receptions, 113 yards. I'm not exactly sure what to think of the Titans defense. I mean, they definitely played better, but 24 points to the Ravens, and it wasn't like the Ravens played all that well on offense, and it's not like the Ravens are all that great of an offense. Their second leading receiver was Des Bryant, so.
Yeah, I don't think their defense – I mean, I think Sunday's game was one of their better performances this year, at least against a team I think we both agree that their offense isn't great, but it's definitely a more capable offense than most. And for them to play as well as they did, I think was a pretty good step in the right direction for them, because I think if they can get their offense rolling again, because as the season goes on, as we're about to approach Thanksgiving, this is when the run game really comes into effect, especially for a team like Tennessee. And their defense can just step it up a little bit and get to that 10 to 12 range in overall defense in the league. I think their division's tough, obviously, with the Colts. They have the same record, and they lost to the Colts already. They play them this week, but if they can win that game and their defense keeps improving and the run game's only going to get better, I think they're going to be a pretty dangerous playoff team like they were last year.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens beating the Ravens is honestly a big win. You both have the same record, Titans and Colts. Like you said, they play next week. I mean, whoever wins that game, obviously they're going to be looking like the favorites. And we'll talk about it later, but yeah, it's a huge win. If the Titans had lost that game, then this upcoming game against the Colts, you would have been under a lot more pressure to win. Probably even still, maybe, I don't know. Debatably a must win, but if you had lost against the Ravens, then it definitely would have been a must win. Moving over to the Sunday night game, Chiefs and Raiders, maybe my favorite game of the week. Probably the best game, debatably. Initial reactions or
Yeah, I think it was definitely. I would say it was the better game than the Packers Colts, and we'll get into that next. But I think this was just exactly what Mahomes is. I don't think there was any doubt that he was going to score. I mean, they only needed a field goal at the end of the game, but I don't think there was any doubt they were going to get a touchdown. He had there was just too much time on the clock, and obviously you can't like control that. You know, when the Raiders scored that touchdown, you're just trying to score a touchdown. You're not. I mean, you're thinking about how much time's on the clock, but you're not. You know, you have to score still. It's not. You know, it doesn't really matter how much time you have left as long as you score. But you just knew they were going to score a touchdown on that drive, and I think that's why, even though the Steelers are 10-0, I think the Chiefs are easily the best team in the NFL, and they should be the favorites, no matter what the Steelers end up as or what the Chiefs' record is at the end of the season. I think they're going to be the favorites no matter what, and this one
yeah.
proved it.
I definitely 100% agree. That last drive was, I mean, it's just insane how easily, and I mean, they just make it look so easy. That last drive, just driving down the field, scoring the touchdown on the throw to Kelsey. I mean, it was, yeah, I mean, the Chiefs' offense is just so incredibly good. It's so much better than really any other offense in the league. And it just proves how good Mahomes is and how much better he is than basically every other quarterback in the league, other than maybe Wilson. But I mean, I would say Mahomes is better than Wilson for sure.
Yeah, I think he's definitely the best quarterback in the league, and even like earlier in the year when Wilson was playing like great, I think Mahomes was still the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah. I think Kelsey's at the point where he might be. I mean, I know Kittle's hurt, but Kelsey might be at the point where he might have retaken the crown for best tight end in the NFL. I don't know if you had Kittle above him before, but I mean, I had Kittle above Kelsey. I guess I might be at the point where I'd say Kelsey's the number one now again, but
I never had Kittle above him only because in the Niners offense, it's really only Kittle who's like that big threat at, even though he's tight end, you know, I basically count him as a wide receiver. While with the Chiefs, they have so many weapons. It's just kind of hard. Like some games, he may just be quiet, just because they may go to Tyreek or maybe the run game is working. So, or just Mahomes is just spreading the ball all around. But I've always had Kelsey as the number one tight end, and obviously with Kittle being injured, it's clear that he's the number one tight end.
yeah, I mean, Kelsey just had such a dominant game. He made the forget the Raiders safety.
Jonathan Abram.
No, the other one, the rookie. He just destroyed
Oh
him all
yeah,
night.
yeah. I forget it. Yeah, yeah,
Damon Arnett, that's who it was with the
yeah,
pink
yeah.
hair. Yeah, I mean, he made him look horrible the whole night. Yeah, I'm looking at the Raiders though. I mean, I was even though technically the Raiders winning would have like hurt the Patriots' chances in the playoffs. Like, I mean, I will talk about it later, but I was rooting for the Raiders to win that game. Carr had such a good game, in my opinion. He 23 for 31, 3 touchdowns. He did have a pick, but I mean,
It was at the end. It's not
yeah.
even really count
So
that.
it's yeah, I don't yeah.
But he's been
Uh,
really impressive this year.
he's had a great year, and it's going to make the Raiders offseason much more difficult when you have to debate whether or not he's worth keeping. And I mean, it's going to come down to what Gruden wants. I'm really curious to see that decision because I'm curious if Gruden likes Carr now or not. Personally, I mean, I don't even know what I would do if I was in Gruden and Mike Mayock's spot with Carr. I mean, it's such a difficult decision because there's such a good chance that if you let go of Carr, your next quarterback will be much worse. But obviously, Carr is nowhere close to the best quarterback in the league, and if you want to go draft a quarterback in the first round, there's definitely a chance that he's just better than Carr. Like,
Yeah,
especially considering this draft with like Herbert and people like that, you could just get a quarterback that's better day one.
yeah. It's going to be an interesting decision because I think before the season, I think Gruden definitely wanted to replace him like at the end of the season, kind of hoping that the Raiders would be, you know, like middle of the pack, but just not as good, or maybe Carr just wouldn't be as good, and then you know you would have a reason to replace him. But with the way that they've been playing and the way that Carr's been playing this year, it's going to be really tough.
No, yeah, I 100% agree. I'm hoping that this Raiders team makes the playoffs. They're one of my, I mean, I guess it's just for like variety because we haven't really seen the Raiders in the playoffs. Other than that, I think there was that one year where it was Carr. Carr had his career year and they made the playoffs, but then Carr he had some injury and he was out for that playoff game and they lost to the Chiefs. I want to say it was maybe the
They
Texans.
lost. Yeah, I think it was Texans.
Yeah, that was on a super unfortunate for the Raiders. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Carr and the Raiders in the playoffs, especially because I want to say if the season ended today, they'd actually be traveling to Kansas City for the wild card round, which would be super. That would just be such a good.
That'd be a great
Uh,
game.
yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I'd definitely pick the Chiefs, but
But
like,
they're just interesting to watch. Like they're not like a boring team.
yeah,
Just
I I
every
think
game you
Gruden's
watch
super
them.
interesting. Like, I really like. I mean, I don't know that I like Gruden as a coach. Like, I don't know. I don't know that he's like a top five coach, but he's just such an interesting coach. So much more interesting than like, I mean, Belichick, and more interesting than Andy Reid. I don't know. Personality is definitely there.
All right. Well, we're saying that about Chiefs Raiders. We're gonna move on to Packers Colts. Probably the second best game of the week. Um, I think going into the week, we both were big on the Packers in this game. We picked them last week, but the Colts, they really showed me something. I didn't think that they could play like this against. And now I'm not a big Packers fan. I don't know about you, but it's even last year. Like they were 13-3, but they were just not like a 13-3
Yeah,
team.
no, I was not a Packers fan last year. Definitely not this year. I'm still not. But yeah, no, I 100% agree that the Colts still, regardless of what I think about the Packers, definitely showed something.
Yeah, because even like yeah, so I mean we see that we both aren't big on the Packers, but even still, I thought they would still be able to win this game, and they were up 28-14 and a half. I mean, I don't really know what happened in the second half. They never had the ball. The Colts dominated possession in the second half. I think the Packers had like, except for that last drive where they got the field goal to tie it, they had like it was like 20 or 30 yards of total offense up until that drive. It was like they just could not move the ball. The defense couldn't get stops. It was a pretty big letdown, especially in a game that looked like it was over at halftime.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the Colts, I mean, I think their biggest like handicap is Philip Rivers. I think this team can go as far as Philip Rivers wants to take them. I mean, if Rivers plays like he did last week, then this Colts team, I mean, I think I'd pick them to win the Titans game if I knew Rivers was going to play well. I think the Colts can definitely compete. Maybe not with the Steelers and the Chiefs, but any other team in the AFC if Rivers is going to play this well.
Yeah, he played pretty well yesterday. He didn't make like the dumb decisions. Now, the one thing that was crazy to watch was on that final possession that the Colts had, the end of regulation before the Packers got the ball. They had a chance to just put the game away, and they had like five holding calls or something like that
Yeah,
that
no,
just
that
like pushed them
was
back.
insane. That was insane. It was
The game, I mean, the
so
game
many
was over, and they
penalties.
just
Yeah,
that. I mean, if they would have lost that game after that, especially the way they came back, that would have been terrible.
yeah, that would have been a very bad loss for sure.
But also, just one more thing about the Colts. Um, I think it shows just how great of a coach Frank Wright is. One, I think there's two things. One, what he was able to do last year when Luck retired, and then they had Brissett all of a sudden, and they didn't make the playoffs or anything, but they were competitive, and it just shows how great of a coach he is. And then this year with Rivers, who's always hit or miss, and even his hits aren't that great. They're 7-3. I don't think most people saw them being 7-3 at this point.
Yeah, I
Some of the
didn't
wins that
think
they've had,
I didn't
and
even know if they were going to be a playoff team.
yeah, going into the season, I didn't really see him as a playoff team either.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
also him when he left Philly, you could just see, I mean, the impact
yeah,
that he had.
Philly's crumbling without Frank Reich. It's yeah, it's pretty crazy, honestly. Yeah, looking at the Packers in this game, I think this kind of defines the Packers for me. They're just they're last year they went 13-3. This year they're probably going to go 12-4, 13-3, 11-5 at worst. And they're just a team that they beat the teams they should beat. And when it comes to any sort of tough game, they just kind of crumble. Rodgers definitely didn't have a bad game, and they were definitely competitive, but they kind of did choke this game to the Colts in the second half. And assessing the Packers, a game like this is why I'm not a big Packers fan and why I wouldn't pick them to go to the Super Bowl. I don't think that they'll be able to beat who if they were to make the NFC Championship game, which I think they could do. I think they'd lose to whoever they end up playing in that game. I just games like this, games like against the 49ers, against the Eagles last year, it's just for some reason in big spots, a lot of the times they just end up crumbling. And in this game, they were competitive, but in a lot of other games, when it gets physical, they just kind of check out. And Rodgers has the ability to, for some reason, just begin to crumble, and he just sours, and that spreads to the whole team.
Yeah, and when you're looking at the Colts, I mean, when you're looking at the Packers' schedule, they they have all winnable games. They go Bears, Eagles, Lions, Panthers. Then they play the Titans, but it's at home, and then they play the Bears. So they could easily go 13-3 if they win that Titans game, or 12-4. I would say at worst. But them, at least right now, I don't know how the records are going to shape out, but right now they're third in the NFC, and it seems like the Saints are going to get that number one spot. I mean, who knows? They could easily lose a couple games, but they right now they're matched up against Tampa Bay, which I don't know about you, but I'd probably go Tampa Bay in that game.
Against the Packers.
Yeah, even with the way Tampa Bay's even been playing, I'd still
Yeah,
go
no,
Tampa.
I agree. Just because they won that, they already played in Tampa convincingly won, so I'd have no choice but to pick the Bucks. Really.
Yeah, I think that's a bad matchup for them. I don't know who wins the NFC West. If it be Seahawks, Rams, or Cardinals, but them playing the Bucks, I think, is their worst matchup. Even, I mean, Seahawks would be a bad matchup too, but I would say if they were to play the Rams or Cardinals, I think they would be hoping to play one of those two teams.
Man, if I'm the Packers, I guess if I'm any team, I want the bye. But if I'm the Packers, I definitely want the bye. I don't want to have to play a wild card game. I'd love to be able to just wait and hopefully get to play like the worst wild card team, or I guess maybe you'd hope to play the NFC East division winner.
Well,
Hopefully you get lucky and you get to
then
play them.
you wouldn't have to win the division then. So there's no way they don't win the division.
No, 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 no. I'm talking about like in the divisional round.
Oh, like the next round? Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you'd have to hope that
You'd have
whoever
to hope
wins
that
the
that all the home teams win, but
yeah, that'd be tough. If the NFC East team, they're probably playing the Bucks or the Seahawks or whoever that
yeah,
second team is in the NFC West. That'd be a tough
yeah,
game for whoever that is to win, but it's possible.
yeah. Moving on to the Monday night game, Rams and Bucks. The Bucks have done what they have done a lot this year, and that is lose primetime games. The Rams ended up winning 27-24, and the offense kind of played how they have in a lot of games so far this year, which is they show flashes of dominance of being a top two, maybe even the best offense in the league. AB showed flashes. The whole offense, yeah, they showed flashes. They looked dominant for drives and for plays in this game. And then in the second half, they looked horrible. The offensive line couldn't stop really anything. Brady was feeling pressured the whole second half. And I just don't exactly know how to feel about this Bucks team. It kind of reminds me of the Packers in a way, where they beat a lot of the teams that they should beat, and a lot of these primetime games where there's adversity, they kind of just fold sometimes. That's shown in a lot of games so far this year, and almost all their losses, and especially in that Bears game on Thursday night earlier in the year. Even last week, like the week before this one, against when they played the Panthers, it was a tie game at halftime. I want to say, like it wasn't until the second half where the Bucks offense really kind of started to look dominant. And I don't know. This team has just been super inconsistent. I've never been a big Bruce Arians fan. Even Bruce Arians at his best only got that Cardinals team to the NFC Championship game where they got absolutely destroyed by, I want to say it was the Panthers,
Yeah.
the year that they went 15-1. I just really don't know how to feel about the Bucs team. Like, obviously, I mean, being like a Brady fan, I probably want them to make the Super Bowl, but I definitely just, I don't know that I can pick them after watching last week or last night.
Yeah, last night. Well, Monday night was definitely tough to watch, especially because it seemed like they were going to win that game, despite how bad they were playing. Like their offense was terrible. I thought their defense was pretty good. At least the second half defense was pretty good. The first half they just had like no pressure on Goff, and then they made him turn it over in the second half, and he definitely was not the same quarterback he was in the first half. But offensively, I don't know, like especially the way like last week they were tied at halftime with the Panthers, and even at the end of the third quarter, it was 29-17, and it really they clicked in the fourth quarter. But I just thought coming off of last week, and then obviously the week before they got blown out by the Saints, I think this was kind of a game that they really had to have because it's just momentum. Then they also play the Chiefs this upcoming week. So that's not a guarantee win at all. And if they lose that game, then they're 7-5, and the division's most likely definitely gone at that point. Which may not be the worst thing for them, but because they may play the NFC East winner, but still, to have those two, if they were to lose next week, they just wouldn't be good games to play, and especially with their way their offense played. Brady was not good at all on Monday night. And really, their run game, they had 18 rushing attempts for 42 yards. Their longest rush was 6 yards. I mean, that's terrible. And I know, like Brady and the receivers that they have, they're probably going to win games throwing the ball, but you have to be able to run the ball.
Yeah, I've never been a big Ronald Jones guy. I'm definitely not a big Leonard Fournette guy. Yeah, out of the offense, the running game was weak. And looking at the defense, I don't know. I didn't think the defense played all that well, just considering that the Rams didn't run the ball. Like they didn't even really try that much. Uh, and Goff threw the ball at least 50 times. I want to say like 51, maybe
Yeah,
even more than that though.
he was 51 times. Yeah.
And I mean, they really couldn't stop him in all honesty. Like they did get 2 picks, but I mean, Goff definitely played well. Like, I mean, he clearly played well enough for them to win that game. I don't know. I didn't feel all that great about the defense. I didn't think. Yeah, I don't know.
It's just more that I think their defense was better in the second half than it was the first. Not saying they were like they didn't even have a sack the entire game, but the problem is their secondary is so young that it's gonna cost them when you go up against receivers like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, and they're not even like top receivers that you may face.
Yeah, no, I
So
agree with that for
so they're
sure.
gonna struggle with them, and obviously the Rams have a good offense, with McVay and stuff, but if they're gonna struggle with them that much, I think Kupp had like 100 yards at halftime, and they both finished over 130. They're really going to
Yeah,
fix that secondary.
I mean, you're gonna have to at least play either Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams, or Metcalf and Lockett. So,
Yeah,
like, I mean, your path to the Super Bowl as the Bucs, you have to play. You're gonna have to play some sort of wide receiving core that is better than the Rams. And the Rams, I mean, yeah, Kupp and Woods combined for some insane amount of yardage. So yeah, I don't know.
and against all
Not
three of those teams, you're going to have to score at least 30 points to win. So
yeah, like I mean, the Bucs offense is gonna have to click for them to go anywhere. But the defense, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. We'll see how the defense plays. I'm curious to see. I'm super excited for the Chiefs game. Obviously, I mean that's going to be a good game. I mean, if I was to pick the game, I mean, I'd probably pick the Chiefs right now. But I mean, who knows how I feel?
we'll probably that'll definitely be one of the games we
Yeah,
pick.
that definitely will be.
So see that later this week. But yeah, they're really going to have to improve in this week before they play
Yeah.
that game. Because on Monday night they just did not look anywhere close to the team that they should offensively, and really overall, but definitely offensively.
I'm looking for the Bucks to, I mean, obviously improve. Like, I think the division is probably gone at this point.
Yeah, I
Yes.
would say so.
Yeah, I mean, I get you'd have to win this Chiefs game to even stay in consideration for the division, but I'm not really too concerned about the division. I just want to see the offense click for a game at least consistently against like an actual team, like against the Chiefs. That would be awesome to see the offense get in a shootout and win against like the Chiefs offense. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I'm definitely, I just want consistency though. And I mean, Bruce Arians has to step it up. Moving on though, moving on to my favorite team, the Pats. They ended up losing to the Texans last week, basically putting the dagger in the Patriots' season. Uh, Overall, I mean, they just didn't play well. Obviously, Belichick was outcoached by Romeo Crennel, which is just like the last thing I'd ever thought I would say. Cam Newton didn't have a horrible game, but he definitely did not play super well. I mean, he threw the ball 40 times, completed 26 passes for 365 yards and a touchdown. The running game wasn't, I mean, I guess they were really losing for the majority of the game, but the running game was really never there. Damian Harris didn't really have a great game. White didn't really rush all that effectively. He only got like 5 carries. Rex Burkhead had a very quiet game. Damiere Byrd, he's a wide receiver on the Patriots. I mean, he had a breakout game for whatever it matters. N'Keal Harry played for the first time in a couple weeks. He did not look great. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't really have too much to say. The Patriots season is in all likelihood over, 4-6 at this point, and the AFC, we'll talk about it later, but I mean, just looking at the records and looking at how good the conference is, it's going to be an uphill battle. They'd have to win out for a chance at the playoffs. They could not lose one more game. 9-7 is probably not getting them in. The defense did not look very good against the Texans. The Texans offense is not scary at all. You got Stephon Gilmore back this week, which was good, but I mean, not enough. The defense, I mean, just did not look good against Watson. Watson, I mean, he had a good game, 28 for 37, 344 yards, 2 touchdowns. Didn't have all that much trouble against the Patriots secondary. So Brandon Cooks, I mean, had a good game. Overall, I mean, it just, I don't know. The Patriots secondary just had a bad game, and the offense we've seen this whole year is just not good enough to win a game having to score 30. Like, that's just not going to happen. So, yeah.
Well, the one thing I gotta say was pretty funny on that last play, seeing Cam try to throw it like 55 yards and he couldn't reach. He was like 10 yards short of the end zone.
Yeah,
That
I
was pretty
mean,
funny.
I don't know what his problem is. I
Well, I
mean,
mean,
I don't know.
you can't. I mean, he literally cannot throw the ball 40 yards. I mean, that was just a known fact. I mean, from all
Yeah,
the shoulder injuries and stuff, I mean, you could see him throw the ball. He could
yeah,
barely throw the ball. I'm not like knocking him or anything, but I'm saying like it was just funny seeing that.
yeah.
But I mean, with the Patriots, I mean, yeah, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. I think you had to realize at some point it was going to happen that they weren't going to be one of the best teams. Obviously, like you were probably thinking, Brady was going to stay here, but even still, like if Brady were to stay here his whole career and he would play a couple more years, you probably wouldn't make the playoffs one of those years.
I mean, I was
Um,
happy with Brady leaving just because it just wasn't going to work with Brady here. I mean, like, just from being close to like, following the team, like, the relationship between Belichick and Brady, the working relationship at least, was just to the point where it was done. And not to mention the team's just not talented enough. It'd be a waste. It'd be a waste. Ultimately, I mean, bringing in Newton's fine, but ultimately, I mean, I would have loved to see Brady go, which we did, which is fine. But I would have optimally, we would have used this time to find/develop the next guy, which we have failed at doing because Stidham is not that, and we have nobody, which means we'll probably have to draft somebody this draft. And if we don't do that, then I mean, we'll have to have another one of these like Cam Newton type of players, and it might even end up being Cam again. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, we got to find the next guy.
yeah, I would say. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Belichick, but like, do you think he's still going to be the head coach when they get the next quarterback, like who's going to be, like the franchise guy.
Yeah, I think he will be. Yeah.
I think if it happens in the next like 2 years, then Belichick will still be there. But like if they're kind of going through this phase of like, like they're still good enough to possibly make the playoffs, but they're not getting like a top pick to get like a franchise quarterback or something like that. I'd say Belichick probably just had enough of it after like 2 years, and he probably
Yeah,
retires.
maybe. But it's up to Belichick to find the next guy. Like, I mean, he's the
Yeah,
GM. I
but
mean,
if they're
this
going to
is,
be 15th, 12th to 15th in the draft or something like that, because they'll still end up with probably 7 wins, 8 wins maybe, something like that.
yeah, they could even
Um,
go 9-7. Who knows? I
yeah,
mean, I
they
don't know.
could, but I would say they probably end up with like 7 wins, which is middle of the pack. So it's, I mean,
I
unless
mean,
they trade up or
I'm in the camp where I don't believe you need to have the number one pick to, find a franchise quarterback. Like, I mean, we found Jimmy G in the second round. Ultimately, we drafted him too soon to the point where Brady outlasted Jimmy G. But I definitely don't think we need to find a guy in the top 10. And even if we really want to trade up in the top 10, like, all right, let's just do it. Like, I mean, the Chiefs, I want to say they drafted it was either 23rd or 27th the year that they traded up to number 10 to grab Mahomes. And we're not going to be drafting 27th. I know that for a fact. So
yeah, I mean, obviously you don't have to be in the top 10 or anything like that to get a franchise quarterback, but I mean, the last time they had a top 10 pick was like before 2000, most likely. I mean,
no, we drafted Jordan Mayo in the top 10, I want to say. And that
like you're
was
like a Patriots pick, not someone else's.
I have no idea. I've got no
I don't know,
idea.
because I mean, obviously they've made the playoffs every year except for one. In that one year, they won 11-5. So
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about like our own pick, then yeah, I mean, before 2000, we haven't had like the worst record we've had since 2000 is I think 9-7. So
yeah, it's obviously you can find someone in the middle of the first round or something like that. Mahomes was at 10. Watson was even I think 12. He was a couple picks behind
yeah,
Mahomes, but it's I mean it's obviously easier if there's a clear cut number one or number two guy and you're in that top 10, top five
yeah,
area.
it definitely makes it easier. But yeah, I mean, I definitely just yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But if Belichick does leave because of a lack of a quarterback, and I mean, it's ultimately his fault that he's leaving. Then, which I mean, I guess it's I don't know. There's not much to take from that, but I don't know. Yeah,
All right. Well, moving on from Patriots, we're gonna go from the AFC East to the NFC East. All three teams have 3 wins, and the Eagles are leading the division right now because of a tie they had with the Bengals. So they're 3-6-1. Every other team is 3-7. And I obviously I'm a Cowboys fan, but I think the Cowboys are going to win the division. When you look at their schedules, the Cowboys have the easiest schedule out of 4 NFC East teams. And honestly, I think I I would probably say the Eagles have more talent overall. Like if you're just looking on paper, well, I guess you could say the Cowboys are pretty close, but I'd honestly say the Eagles probably have more talent. But I mean, Wentz has just been so bad this year that like I honestly trust Andy Dalton way more than I do Wentz. I mean, he's 14 touchdowns and 14 interceptions, and he has I think another 5 to 10 fumbles or something like that. So I don't trust Wentz at all. And the Giants, they could possibly win the division. They've probably been the most consistent team out of all the teams. They've been in like every single game except for like the 49er game, but that was early in the season. And they're coming off a bye this week. But I think the Cowboys most likely win this division when the season ends. I don't know what you think about it, but I would say
I mean, yeah,
Cowboys.
no, I think the Cowboys should be the favorites right now, solely based off schedule. I think the Eagles have the highest ceiling for any team, but I also think the Eagles have by far the hardest schedule. I mean, let me just read the Eagles schedule right now. They play
It's
the
tough.
Seahawks, then the Packers, then the Saints, then the Cardinals, then they play the Cowboys in Washington. So there's no, I mean, obviously they're 3-6-1, so there's no gimme games. But
I
I
mean, they
mean,
could be 3-10-1 going into the Dallas game
yeah, no, I
easily.
want to easily. That's the most likely scenario.
Yeah, at best they win one of those games.
Probably, yeah. I mean, the Giants, I would say, have the second best chance to win the division just because they have probably the second easiest schedule, although it's still a very tough schedule. You have the Ravens, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks. I mean, Washington, I don't know that they're good enough to win the division, but their schedule is actually, I mean, it's not nearly as bad as the Eagles. They play the Steelers, which is tough. They play the Seahawks, but other than that, I mean, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
they're at San Francisco. It's not a
It's
hard
not an
game, but
easy.
it's not an easy game.
Yeah, I mean
But it really
but the
comes down.
Cowboys
But
have the easy. They only have one. They only play one more team with a 500 or better record, and that's the Ravens.
yeah,
So
which I mean, personally, I think they most likely lose that game. It's in Baltimore, and I mean, they both play on Thanksgiving. Then they play that next Thursday, and the Ravens play the Steelers. And if they lose that game, then they're gonna be 6-5. And I would say there's no way they then lose that Cowboy game. I just don't think that good of a team can lose that many games in a row and then play a definitely worse team and then lose at home. But
I agree. Yeah, I think
it's
you probably lose that. I mean, but the Cowboys, I mean, they're playing with house money, and that like they don't need to. They don't need to win that Ravens
yeah,
game.
they don't need to win it. Yeah, you're right. As long as they win Thanksgiving and then they play Ravens and then they play Bengals without Joe Burrow, which we're gonna get into about him getting injured, but they play the Bengals and then they play the Niners at home, Eagles at home, and then they're at the Giants. So that Giant game could be for the division. The Eagle game could be for the division. I think it'd be between the Cowboys and Giants when it comes down to Week 17. But the Cowboys don't win this Thanksgiving game, then it's definitely tough. Because they definitely aren't likely to win that Ravens game. So they could
Yeah,
be 3-9, or they could be 4-8. So
I would say we're at the point with this division where 7 wins probably guarantees you the division crown. 6 wins most likely would probably get you the crown.
yes, I would say so. I would say
5 wins
six
probably
wins. Yeah,
doesn't. I think 6 wins probably does, but
I
I
would say
mean, six
five.
wins is a gamble.
Yeah, I would say 5 wins doesn't only because, and again, it really depends on this Thanksgiving game. But if the Cowboys win this game, I think they definitely get to at least six, just because I don't see them losing that Bengal game and probably that Niner game too. Like I don't know, I think the Cowboys can get 6 wins. I don't really see the Eagles getting 6 wins. I think the Giants could, and I mean Washington. I don't know. They would have to win this Thanksgiving game in order to really get 6 wins.
I mean, if you're the Cowboys, the one thing you want to avoid is that last game being for the division because I mean you're not home, so
Now they have had success against the Giants these last couple of years. I don't even think they've
but still
actually.
though, I mean it's still very risky. I
It's
mean,
yeah, still. I mean, you'd rather be able to win that Eagle game the week before and know that you have the division. But if it comes down to that Week 17 game, then I mean it's basically a playoff game. So, you know, if you want to get into the playoffs, you're gonna have to win that game. So
if the Cowboys can just win the Washington game, then win the Bengals game, win the Eagles game, that probably gets you the division crown.
it probably does, unless the Giants also win 3 games, which that could be tough for them. But
That'd be super tough for the Giants. They'd have to win. They'd have to win the Bengals. Then they'd have
they
to.
probably will.
They probably will. Oh, but after I mean, they get the Bengals and then they get the Seahawks, then the Cardinals and the Browns, then the Ravens.
I would say Seahawks, Cardinals, they most likely lose. Browns is tough because the Browns, like, even though they're 7-3, I mean,
They're not that good of a
they're
team. I
not
mean,
that good. The Ravens is probably a loss. So it's really that Browns game. If they can, they're most likely win this Bengals
but
game.
I mean, if they win
That's
Bengals
only
and
two
Browns, it's
wins
only
though.
2 wins. Yeah. So,
But if
but
they were to beat us in Week 17, same record, and then
yeah,
I guess it would go off. It would be they would be
it would
one and
go.
one
It'd
against
go
each
to the
other.
record in the division,
Yeah. So
which I
which
mean, right now they're both.
the Giants have
Actually,
3 wins right now.
and they're all division wins.
They've beaten the Eagles once and then Washington twice. So well the Cowboys have um, beaten the Giants once. We still have more division games to play, obviously. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see. I guess that makes every division game even that much more important.
which
And
really means that the Cowboys really have to win Thanksgiving, and then they have to win that Eagle game if we think what's going to happen is going to happen, because then they'd have 3 division wins, and the Giants would have 3 division wins going into that Week 17 game. So
yeah, the more and more I think about it, the more and more likely it is that the Giants could win this division. Honestly,
the only path it seems like is that the Giants can beat the Browns.
yeah, I mean they'd have to win the Browns game.
Yeah, that's the only way.
I guess they wouldn't have to, but they'd have to win one
Well,
of the Ravens.
yeah, but
They'd
I
have to,
think
yeah,
out of the Cardinals, Seahawks, Ravens, and Browns, the one game that they most likely can win is the Browns game.
Yes.
I mean, I don't really see him beating the Seahawks, Cardinals, or Ravens, especially two of those games are on the road. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's going to be interesting because I think I think what we laid out is most likely what's going to happen, where it rather comes down to that Week 17 game between Cowboys Giants, or it's over after Week 16. And at least I hope, and what I think is that the Cowboys will be the division winners at the end of Week 16.
Yeah. Yeah. If the whatever team wins this division, I still, I don't know. I guess it depends who they play in the wild card, but I did say in an earlier episode that whatever team wins this division would win a playoff game.
Yeah, we
But I
did
don't
say
know if
that.
I might have to go back on that one,
It really
unfortunately.
depends on who they play.
Like, I don't know if they play the Bucks. Like, I'm not gonna pick them to beat the Bucks. I don't know.
No,
I guess I don't even know what wild card team. Maybe the Cardinals.
maybe only because they're a young team,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I would say Seahawks, Bucks, and even Rams. I'm not a big Rams guy, but even Rams, I think they lose that game. I think the only game
yeah.
they whoever wins has a chance is most likely the Cardinals. But even then, that's still a really tough game.
I
But
think I'd pick the NFC East winner over the Cardinals.
I'd have to see like how the teams have been playing going into that game.
Yeah, maybe. Oh well, that's obvious. Yeah,
Yeah, like right now, I'd pick obviously Cardinals, but like if whoever's on a roll in that game, even if the Cardinals are on a roll, like if they're both doing really well going into that playoff game, it'd be really tough, honestly.
yeah. Moving on from the NFC East, we'll just quickly touch on the Burrow injury. It's just a super unfortunate injury. He was, in my opinion, he was looking like, either the best or the second best quarterback from this rookie class. Maybe the best. I don't know. It depends on if you think he's been playing better than Herbert, but he'd been having such a good year for being on such a bad roster. And I think it just comes to show that the Bengals are a horrible organization who can't surround Burrow with a competent offensive line.
Yeah, that was the issue going into the season, and it was the issue that was the problem or the reason that he got injured was because of the offensive line. But it sucks because he's most likely if they I think they said it's a 9 to 12 month injury, and it depends on how
Yeah.
you rehab. But I mean, he's most likely not going to play all of next year. I mean, what would be the point in bringing him back unless they're somehow close to the playoffs, which they won't be?
Yeah.
There's no point in bringing him back with like 5 weeks left. So he's probably out all of next year also. But that that probably means that the Bengals have two top picks to take an offensive lineman. So you better take an offensive lineman. I mean,
Yeah. It's actually it's crazy because it's going to be so long until Burrow gets to play again, and by then his rookie contract is going to be closer to coming to an end, and then it's going to be like I don't know, like
he'll be in his third year. I mean, think about
torn ACL, MCL at that point. Is it even? I don't know. Like, what if the Bengals get like the second? What if they have the third pick or fourth pick in the draft? And I don't. I guess they wouldn't draft another quarterback.
I would say not this year. Like if they were going to do it, I mean, I don't know what the quarterbacks look like for next year's draft, but like if they were going to do it, it like you'd at least have to wait a year. You know,
Yeah, you probably
it'd be
would,
that'd
but
be crazy to take a quarterback unless they got the number one pick, but they're not going to. So
that's such a bad injury though because the Bengals are now like back to being. Not only are they bad, but they're boring. So
yeah, it's another year. It's going to be the rest of this year, and then another full year where it's nothing even exciting. So
I guess Zach Taylor. He's fired probably at the end of the year. I'd
uh,
assume. I don't know though.
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe after next year.
Yeah, I guess it's
I don't think you could
it's
say
difficult
anything about
to.
this year. They've been playing pretty well this year.
Yeah, no, I actually agree. I don't think they've been playing too poorly.
Like I've actually been pretty impressed watching them sometimes. I mean, obviously there's gonna be games where they're just not gonna be able to compete in, but in most games they've been kind of competitive in.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see how the year goes, but I don't know. The Bengals such a bad roster. We'll see how they draft though.
Yeah, but they definitely need offensive linemen. All right, we're gonna try something that we haven't done so far this year, but I think it's the perfect time to do this with Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving game's about to happen. This is kind of when you know who's going to be in the playoffs and what teams are, going to miss out. So we're going to go through every team and we're going to choose or we're going to pick which ones we think are going to make the playoffs and which ones aren't and which ones may have an outside shot. So we're going to go through all the teams and see which ones we think. So we're going to go by division. So we're going to start with the AFC East. So Buffalo Bills.
I mean, they're in. They're in as either, unless they melt, they're in as probably the division winner, if not a wild card team.
Yeah, they're definitely in the playoffs. And I think with the Dolphins' loss this past week, I would say the Bills are most likely division winners.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably the best team in the AFC East.
Yeah. Next team, Miami Dolphins.
I mean, I think they probably make it as a wild card team, but it's gonna come. So looking at their schedule, it's gonna come down probably to the game against the Raiders, and then I mean the last week of the year they play the Bills. They do play the Chiefs, but I'm assuming that's gonna be a loss. They get the Jets and the Bengals these next 2 weeks. Those should be wins. I think it might end up coming down to the last 2 weeks, which is going to be Raiders and Bills if they get in.
Yeah,
Right now, I don't know if they get in. I'd say they probably get in right now as a wild card.
I'm not sure. Right now I'm gonna say they're on the outside looking in. I think this loss last week was just bad because you're playing a Broncos team that's not good at all. And if they were 7 and
Yeah.
3, then they play Jets, Bengals. I mean, they're most likely going to be 9 and 3 at the end of those 2 weeks. So I think that loss is actually pretty important. And I mean, I guess we'll get into the teams in this segment, but right now I'm going to say they're not going to make the playoffs.
I will. I guess I'll agree with that for now. I mean, we'll see. I have to kind of think about it, but yeah, I don't know.
But
I mean,
that Raider game's that's going to be a big game.
that it's definitely going to be a big game. Like they just can't afford to lose the Chiefs, Raiders, and Bills. If they lose all 3 of those games, they don't make it. If they
Yeah.
can win 2, I think they make it. If they're fortunate, and I guess I mean I don't know if it's fortunate, but if the division's to the point where the Bills don't have to really try Week 17, the Dolphins may end up just squeezing in because they get a free win against the Bills. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see with them. But we both have them outside for right now. We have New England Patriots.
They're out. I mean, they'd have to run the table to have a chance. So
Yeah, they're out. If they would have won this past week against the Texans, they would have had a chance. But yeah, with that loss, I think it solidifies them as not being in the playoffs for this year.
yeah, Jets. I mean,
we don't really need to talk about them.
yeah,
Pittsburgh, obviously, they're going to be in the playoffs.
yeah, probably going to be the 1 seed or 2 seed.
Yeah, they could. I mean, if they lose one game, I think I'm gonna say the Chiefs get the 1 seed.
I think
the Steelers lose at least one more game.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And they probably lose 2 games because that last. Well, I guess it depends on what the Chiefs do, but that last game of the year against the Browns, they may just not even try. So.
Oh, but the Chiefs' schedule is not easy. I think the Steelers will get the 1 seed, just because of schedule. But I definitely think that the Chiefs are by far a better team. I don't know about by far, but I definitely think they're without a doubt a better team.
You're more scared of the Chiefs than you are the Steelers.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Chiefs' schedule, I mean, we'll get into it later, but
Cleveland Browns.
I guess I got to do the math now. So if there's 3 wild card teams, 1 from the AFC South, I think the Ravens will be 1. I think I'd have them on the outside looking in right now. Like technically they're in with 7-3 record right now, but if I have to predict, I'm going to predict that they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't see them making the playoffs. I think the Ravens, when the Ravens are right, they're a completely much better team than the Browns are. The Browns are just ugly to watch. Like, they're not interesting at all. And their last 3 games have been such ugly games that they somehow
Yeah.
won 2 of them. I mean, they lost to the Raiders 16-6. They beat the Texans 10-7, and they beat the Eagles 22-17. I know it was like raining and it was bad weather for some of those games, but you're going to be a playoff team that's 7-3 right now. I mean, you cannot be winning games like that.
Yeah, I don't
And
know if they've had like a convincing win this year. Maybe against
yeah,
I don't know,
I mean, the
maybe
only
against the
win you could,
Colts.
yeah, I was going to say the only win you could say is probably the Colts, but I think that was just a different Colts team.
Yeah, that was back in early October. I mean, I'm not gonna, yeah. But the Browns, I mean, I think they probably lose against the Titans. They probably, I think I'd be willing to bet they lose that Ravens game. And then I guess it comes down to, I don't know, but even if they lose both of those games and win out, they're going to be 11-5.
Well, I would say they play the Jaguars, Titans, Ravens. So I would say they beat Jaguars. I'm going to say lose Titans, lose Ravens.
They might
For
lose that.
that Giants game that's gonna
I
be.
know, I know.
They're gonna beat the Jets. They play the Jets next week. Then they play the Steelers again. That depends on if
What the Steelers,
yeah, what
yeah.
if they're one seed or if they're 15-0, they're gonna play. Even if they're the one seed, they're 15-0. They're like the Steelers are gonna play that game. So
I would assume so, yeah.
that may not even if they're the one seed. There's and like they'll
Yeah,
still play
I
that game.
think, I
So
mean, if I'm going to predict they don't make the playoffs, then I'm going to have to also predict that they lose against the Titans, against the Ravens, against the Giants, and the Steelers. Then they'd be 9-7, and they'd be on. They definitely wouldn't make it at 9-7. Well, not
yeah,
definitely, but they probably wouldn't.
even at 10-6, I mean they already lost to the Raiders, and if the Raiders would have finished 10-6, I
Yeah,
mean
the
they would have
Ravens would have the
tiebreaker.
tiebreaker.
So
Yeah, I mean the Giants game is going to be important, but I mean they need to lose. I mean, I don't know. I think they'll probably lose Titans and Ravens, and then they got to lose one of either Steelers and Giants. So
yeah. So we'll see, but right now we both have them missing the playoffs.
yeah.
Next team, the Ravens.
I've got the Ravens in the playoffs as a wild card.
Yeah, so do I. I think they're too good to
I agree. If they miss the
not make the
playoffs,
playoffs.
that is. I mean, you'd have to
That's
look right at Lamar and right at John Harbaugh and be
yeah,
like, "What are you doing?"
because their defense has been one of the best in the league. So it's
Yeah,
and if they even if they make the playoffs, they're still gonna like fire Greg Roman or whatever, which I think it's so stupid. Like that they're blaming everything on Greg Roman about like that other people are knowing their plays and that they have no creativity. Like there's not much to do in an offense where your quarterback can't throw the ball.
yeah,
So I think that's more on Lamar than it is the offensive coordinator, who's I think he's built. I mean, he's built a system directly for one guy, and I mean they were 14-2 last year, so I don't know how it's not working this year, but I think it's more just on Lamar.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, even though we both have making the playoffs, and I think they will, I don't feel confident in them at all.
I'm not confident in them winning anything in the playoffs, but I'm confident in them making the playoffs. That's what I'll say. I think they
Yeah,
go 11-5.
yeah, I think they go 10-6 at worst, but I think they go 11-5.
Yeah,
All right, next team, Bengals.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
they're not going to. Um, all right, AFC South, we have the Colts.
yeah. I mean, I think the Colts are almost guaranteed in. I mean, I guess not guaranteed, but they either win the division or they make it as a wild card, in my opinion. So,
Do you think they win the division?
um, I don't know. So they're 7-3 right now.
They play the
Eight,
Titans this upcoming week.
9. I don't know. I really don't. I really don't know. It's. I would say no. I don't think they will. I'm looking
I
at both schedules, and I think the Titans have probably a slightly easier schedule, and I think the Titans are also a better team. I think they're. I actually prefer Vrabel over Reich, although I like both.
I like both too. I think I like Reich better, but I think for the teams that they're on, I think they're really good.
I think the Titans. I think the Titans are an all-around better roster.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel more confident in the Titans winning the division. And you're right, their schedule is definitely a little bit easier. Um, but I would say I think Colts make the playoffs definitely, but I think Titans win the division.
I agree. Yeah, I would air Titans.
All right, so that takes Colts and Titans. So Texans,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
no.
no, maybe I don't know. I have confidence for them in the future, but obviously not this year.
I don't even have confidence in them in the near future, like next 2 years, like this year, next year. No.
No. But I guess it also. I mean, I know Watson signed the contract, but I wouldn't be surprised if in 2 years he's, wants to get traded or something. I mean,
Yeah, I mean he's like Devin Booker of the NFL at this
yeah.
point.
And losing. I mean, trading Hopkins was just not good
Yeah,
for that.
Bill O'Brien ruined that roster. They have no
Yeah,
future picks really.
I mean, their first round pick, the Dolphins have it, and it's going to
Yeah,
be a top 10 pick.
and I don't even think they have their one next year either. Pretty sure they
Yeah, I
don't.
think so. I think they don't have their first and second round picks for the next 2 years. I want to say maybe that's wrong, but I know this year they don't have their first round pick, and I want to say next year they don't have their first or their second. So
Yeah, I mean they don't have a lot of draft capital.
yeah,
It's bad.
and their defense sucks. So
Yeah. Yep.
all right, next team Jaguars. I mean, they're
Yeah.
not going to the playoffs, but all right, AFC West Chiefs definitely.
Yeah. I mean Chiefs are. It's just going to come down to either the 1 seed or the 2 seed.
Yeah,
I think they end up being the 2 seed, but I think that they're without a doubt the best team in at least the AFC, if not the NFL.
yeah, I would
So
say. Again, I said earlier I think they will finish with the number 1 seed, just because I think they will.
I
But
think they
even
have a
if they
more
don't,
difficult schedule than the Steelers. So
they do. But I don't know. Maybe they won't. But it doesn't really
like
matter.
I wouldn't predict the Chiefs lose another game, but like in reality, it's more likely they end up with a record with more than one loss than one loss. Like they play the Bucks, they play the Saints, and they play the Dolphins in Miami. So I mean,
Yeah,
like I
I
wouldn't predict them to lose any of those games, but are they going to win any of those? I mean, I don't know. Like
yeah I would never predict them to lose a game, but yeah, you're right. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost like the Saints game or even this Bucks game. So
yeah,
um, next team, the Raiders.
I think the Raiders right now they'd be my last wild card team.
Yeah, same. I think they definitely make the playoff. I think they make the playoffs.
I don't think it's a definite though. I think the
Yeah,
Raiders are the like. I mean, I'm not going to say they're the worst wild card team, but they have the best chance to not make it out of the wild card teams. Out of
there's
so right now, I would have the Colts, the Ravens, and the Raiders as my three wild card teams, and I think out of those three, the Raiders have the best chance to not make it.
um
I'm not going to say they're the worst team out of those three teams, but I think they have the easiest chance to miss it.
well, the only thing I'll say, those I have those three teams in my wild cards also. I guess Colts Titans can flip, but it's the same thing.
Yeah,
Their schedule is very easy. They go Falcons this week. They go Jets. This is the Raiders. They go Falcons, Jets, then they play the Colts, but it's at home. Then they're Chargers, Dolphins at home, and then Broncos. It's a
I
pretty
mean,
easy schedule.
it's pretty easy, but the Raiders have also shown some inconsistencies in the past, and they're not a
Yes.
proven team to the point where I'm willing to like. Even if the Ravens are going to have a tougher schedule, like I'm still going to. I don't see the Ravens not making the playoffs. I really just have a tough time seeing them not make it, like
Yeah.
or not seeing them make it. The Raiders, I could easily see them losing. I could see them losing next week in a close game. The Falcons are they're not a horrible team. They could lose the Colts game. They could lose that Dolphins game. And just like that, I mean, the Dolphins could go on a winning streak or something. They could lose that chart. I mean, I don't know. Like the Broncos just beat the Dolphins. Like, who knows? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess they definitely have been inconsistent in years past, but I think with the way, I mean, if they could just play like they play against the Chiefs every week, then they're definitely
Oh, I
for
agree.
sure. I
I
don't
think they end up 10-6. I don't know. I think they lose the Colts game, and I think they lose one other game on their schedule. I don't know which one it'll be, but well, I mean, who
Yeah,
knows?
I would say, yeah, I think they probably go 10-6, which gets them in the playoffs.
I would, yeah, I would assume they get the playoffs, but I'm just saying out of the three wild card teams, in my opinion, they have the best chance to not. I think it's more likely the Colts and the Ravens make it as wild cards over, or Colts/Titans make it as wild card over the Raiders.
Yeah. All right. We'll just do the last two teams.
Broncos and
Broncos and
Chargers. I mean,
Chargers.
yeah, whatever. We can move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. They're not going to come close to playoffs. All right. NFC. So I guess I'll just say the whole NFC East. I mean, who do you think's? I guess we've kind of talked about this, but who do you think? Who's your pick right now?
Man, I'm gonna pick the Cowboys. I mean, just by the schedule, their schedule is just too easy for me not to. It's just too much. It's too easy. I mean, comparatively speaking, it's much easier than everyone else's. So
Yeah, I'm gonna go Cowboys too. Their schedule's easier. Coming off the bye, I think they're just more focused. They looked a lot better against Minnesota, who'd won 3 straight, and it looked a lot better than they did when they started 1-5. Um,
I think
and
they end up going 6-10 and win the division.
yeah, I would say 6-10 at worst.
7-9 at
The only
best.
thing, well, I think 7-9's at best, definitely, but I would say 6-10 at worst, only because like I don't, I don't know, I don't see them only winning 2 more games the rest of the year,
I
unless
don't
Dalton gets
either.
hurt
I don't
or something
either.
like
I mean,
that.
that's why I'm
But
predicting 6-10. But I mean, who knows? Like, all 4 of these teams have played so bad that who knows? Like, I
yeah,
don't
that's
know.
why. Like I'm hoping that what I saw on this past Sunday against the Vikings is more of the team that we saw than compared to the previous games without Dak, like ever since Dalton and then Danucci and
Yeah.
Gilbert. But if they can play even just close to what they played on this past Sunday, then yeah, I think they definitely go 6-10.
All right. So we both have
So
the Cowboys in the East.
yeah, we both have the Cowboys. NFC North, Packers.
I mean, yeah, they're going to be. It just comes down to, are they going to be the 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed? Who knows?
Yeah, they're gonna make the playoffs. And like we were saying, I think they're just too inconsistent to probably be the 1 seed and really do anything in the playoffs, but they're definitely going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right, so Bears.
Bears, I mean, they're on the outside looking in right now. They're probably like the 8th or 9th best team right now. Or yeah, I mean, at least record wise, they'd be the 8th, I want to say, in the
Uh,
NFC.
yeah, I guess they're like 8, 9, 10.
I mean, I don't like them at all. I'm not a big Bears fan. I think the Vikings are better, but the Vikings are also they have 1 more loss and 1 less win. So
Yeah, if the Vikings were to have won against the Cowboys,
the Vikings needed that game. They
yeah,
needed that game.
because
And
they
I
would have
think
been
that
5-5, and they have the tiebreaker over the Bears for right now. So, or yeah, right? Or they play them earlier in the year. No, they still have to play them. So
yeah.
the Vikings really needed that game because now 4-6, they're done. There's no way they can make the playoffs.
Well, the Vikings won earlier this year, but they do play again. So, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that's what I was
yeah,
saying.
yeah, the Vikings needed that game. I mean, I don't know. Like, for me personally, I have my 7 teams, and I don't care what order you put them in. I'm not sure about the order myself, but I would be very surprised if my 7 teams changed. I'll just give them right now. I mean, well,
Well,
other than the
let's
NFC East division winner, but I'll just say NFC East winner. It'd be Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, Packers, Saints, Bucks.
that's my 7 also. I mean, that's my 6 then. Whoever, I guess we will have Cowboys, but whoever's the NFC East.
Yeah, it's those
I,
6 and then
it's
NFC
those 6
East.
teams. I don't think there's no other team can leapfrog any one of
Yeah.
those teams.
I
Again,
mean,
the
I
only
guess
team it would have been the Vikings if they would have won,
yeah,
but
I
they
agree.
didn't. So
If you were to pick one team, like, to squeeze in, like, if you had to pick one team that isn't in right now, would you pick the Vikings? I probably would pick the Vikings. I don't know.
yeah, I think you
It'd
have to.
either be Vikings or Niners for me,
Yeah, it would be.
but it'd probably be Vikings. But I
Yeah,
mean,
it would be
the
between.
Vikings have to win out.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
their schedule isn't. I mean, it's not super difficult. I mean, they go Panthers, Jaguars, Bucks, Bears, Saints, Lions. But I mean, they're 4-6. Like, I mean, there's no way you can predict them winning out. I'm not going to predict them to win out for
no,
sure.
I don't think you can.
Yeah,
All right. Well, I guess we'll just kind of do a quick run then. But all right, so Lions, they're out.
yeah. Lions are out. Interesting team. Matt Patricia's probably done after this year. They're good. They're done.
Yeah, I would say if they weren't playing Thanksgiving this week, I think he would have been fired on Monday.
Maybe.
I mean, they got
They
destroyed
got shut
against the
out.
Panthers
Yeah.
with PJ Walker at quarterback, which I
Yeah.
mean they got shut. Yeah, they got shut out. So, all right. So Saints. We'll do Saints and Bucks.
I think I like the Bucks more, but I mean the Saints are most 95% going to win this division as long as Taysom Hill doesn't get figured out. The Saints are probably going to win this division. It just is going to come down to can they get the 1 seed. Personally, I mean, I guess I won't get too much into it, but I mean, I'm not a big Saints fan. Like, I'm not going to pick them to win the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl, even if they get the 1 seed. But yeah, I mean, they're going to win. They're probably going to win the division. So
Yeah, I have Saints winning the division also, and for 1 seed, I thing is it's so tough because you have Rams and Seahawks at 7-3. You have Bucks at 7-4. Even though the Saints have 2 more wins than they do, I mean they have the 2 wins against them, and the Packers are 7-3. So it's not like that 1 seed is really going to come down probably to the last week.
I agree. I don't think there's a guaranteed, like the Saints are not, to me, like they have the best record, but like if I would pick the field over Saints for the 1 seed, I think it's more likely that the Rams/Seahawks/Packers/Bucks get the 1 seed compared to the Saints.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I'd say so also. All right.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just do Panthers and Falcons together.
I mean, yeah.
They're
both done.
Too. Again, I think the Falcons are probably the best 3-17, but in the
I would agree. Yeah. I mean, if the Falcons were in the NFC East, they'd win that division running away. Like,
or if they just didn't have, what was it, like 3 or 4 meltdowns?
Yeah, they could easily be. I mean, their record could like easily
be 5-5.
Oh, easily. They could be like 6-4. I mean,
Yeah.
they could have arguably flipped their record from 3-7 to 7-3. Like if they weren't such a choking organization. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Panthers are. I mean, like I won't spend too much time on it, but the Panthers. I mean, they're obviously bad, but they definitely have potential. Matt Rule has shown that he can be a top 5 coach in the NFL one day.
Yeah, he's been really impressive, and they basically haven't had McCaffrey all year. And
yeah,
Bridgewater, I mean, he just got injured. It seems like he's going to play this upcoming week, but yeah, them being 4-7 is a real surprise. I think most people thought, they were probably going to have 2-3 wins this year.
I mean, I'm not surprised that they're 4-7, but I think that they've been competitive in almost every game, even against the Bucks. Like, yeah, they lost 46-23, but like we talked about earlier, they were competitive for the first half, if not the first 3 quarters.
Yeah, every single one of their games has basically been a 1-score game.
Yeah.
Except for the 2 games against the Bucks, they lost 31-17 and 46-23. But I mean, obviously, the one that was 46-23, they were in it the entire game. They almost beat the Chiefs. Literally every single game has been a 1-score game. So.
And the NFC South is a pretty good division. Like, especially, it'll be even probably better next year when the Panthers and Falcons are probably they both probably will be better. I mean, the Panthers are another team where it's like if they were in the NFC East, they win that division running away. So, yeah. Probably.
Yeah, probably. All right, NFC West. I guess we'll just do Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals. Who do you think is going to win the division? And then the other 2 will most likely be wildcard teams.
Did you want to start on this one, or?
I'm gonna. It's tough because I'm not that big on the Rams, but also the Seahawks defense is just so bad. I mean, they played a lot better on Thursday night against the Cardinals. I'm gonna go Seahawks. I think. I don't know. I just have more faith in Russell.
Yeah, this is a very tough call. I'm gonna go Rams, though. I will go Rams. But I don't know. I mean, I could easily see the Seahawks here, though, because I think the Seahawks have the easier schedule. The Seahawks go Eagles, Giants, Jets, Washington, Rams, and Niners. Like the Rams schedule, like I think they might be the best team overall, like roster-wise, but they have Niners, then Cardinals, then Pats, then Jets, then Seahawks, and Cardinals. I mean, I don't know. That's the only game you're going to win is the Jets.
Yeah, that Seahawks schedule, I mean, they should, after these next 4 games, they should be 11-3. So,
like the Seahawks should end up. They can lose that. They can afford to lose that Rams game.
if they win their next 4 games, they can afford to lose that Ram game. Unless the Rams win all 4 of their games, but I don't think they will.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I will agree with you. I think the Rams actually might be the better team,
I
and
would
I
say
wouldn't
so
be
too.
surprised if the Rams win the division. I definitely wouldn't. But I would say it's just because of the schedule. I will go Seahawks win the division. Rams finish. I say the Rams finish 11-5. They could even go 12-4 and lose the division. Like, I don't know. Like they
Yeah,
could.
I
I don't
think
know.
I think
I'd say
that
they go 11-5.
I say Seahawks go 12-4 at worst, and I'm gonna pick them to win the division. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if they're rather tied with the Rams or even the Cardinals, which I think the Cardinals are probably out of it for
I
at
would
least for
agree.
division. Only because the Seahawks schedule is just so easy. I don't really see how the Cardinals could like make that up with one less win. Um, but the Rams could easily tie them at 12-4. And they again maybe that Week 16 game is going to be a big game then. But I would say Seahawks win the division.
Had the Cardinals won that game against the Seahawks, this would be a very different conversation because
Yeah,
the Seahawks would have the advantage over the Cardinals would have the advantage over the Seahawks winning both head-to-head games. And then the Cardinals would have they have a relatively easy schedule and they play the Rams twice, which means it would basically come down to those 2 games, those
yeah,
2 Cardinal Ram games. And that would be very interesting. I think the Cardinals probably go 10-6. I think the Cardinals again, we both have them making the playoffs here, but I definitely think it'll be as a wild card. I think it's going to come down to Rams Seahawks, and I'll go Seahawks. But yeah, I mean, we both definitely agree on this that the Rams could definitely win this division.
yeah. And then last team, the Niners. It's just been a season of injuries.
Yeah,
You can't
it
really
just
say, and they're not going to
comes.
make the playoffs. But
They're not. Yeah, this is definitely the best division in football, in my opinion, though. Especially
yeah,
if the Niners, especially next year, like this division is going to be insane. Like I mean, these are 4 teams and they're all probably at their best, no injuries, are probably all top 10 in the NFL. The
yeah.
Cardinals being the only one that you may argue are maybe like 11 and 12, like 11 or 12
Even
somewhere.
still,
Even still though, like this division
and
is
one of these teams next year is gonna have to miss the playoffs.
technically no, but
Well,
yeah, in all
I guess
likelihood,
technically
yes.
yes, but
In all
most likely.
likelihood, at
I mean,
least one will miss the
you'd
playoffs.
be saying that the Bucks or the Saints would make the
Yeah.
playoffs. I mean,
I mean,
which the Saints, I guess it's a
I
possibility.
think it's hard for all 4 teams in the division to not be like injury plagued. Like this year,
Yeah,
Niners, next year, who knows? Maybe the Rams or the Seahawks are just, it's just not their year. Maybe it's the 49ers again. Who knows? I don't know. But
there's always something like that can happen, like a quarterback or even like a team or a couple defensive players, something like that. So
yeah.
definitely, but yeah, next year, even obviously there's injuries, but assuming there's no major injuries, I would say every team is
Yeah. I mean,
got
any
to be
team could
above
win that
500,
division.
right?
Yeah,
So
probably. And any team could win the division, really.
yeah,
Except, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the Cardinals can't, but I mean, I don't know. They definitely, I don't know.
I guess we'll see. But
Yeah. And that's all 32 teams, right?
yeah, that's all 32 teams. So do we want to just go over our playoff teams? I
Yeah,
think we have the
sure.
same playoff teams.
I think we actually, yeah. So in the East, we have,
Let's start. Let's just go AFC. Let's
okay.
just say the teams. Let's just say it.
So we both have the Steelers, the Chiefs as our 1 or 2 seeds. Then we
Yeah.
have the Bills, and I guess technically we're both split. I have Titans, you have Colts, right? Or no, do you have
Um,
Titans? I think you said Titans actually.
I said Titans. Yeah.
Okay, so we both have, yeah, we've got Steelers, Chiefs, Bills, and Titans as the division winners. And our wild card teams are Colts, Ravens, and Raiders.
Yeah.
Then in the NFC, we both have the Cowboys, we both have the Seahawks, we both have the Packers, and we both have the Saints as the division winners. And we both have the wild card teams as Bucks, then Rams, and Cardinals.
Yep. I think that's. I would
I think in all
say.
likelihood that's going to end up. I mean, the NFC is much. I'm much more confident in the NFC picks just because just because of their records than the
Yeah.
AFC ones. Like the AFC, there's real like. I mean, I'm not picking the Dolphins to make the playoffs, but I don't know. Like they easily could. I'm not picking the Browns to make the playoffs, but they're 7-3 right now, and their schedule is not incredibly hard. So like, who knows?
Yeah. I think the NFC. It seems like those 7 teams are going to be locked. For
Yeah,
that's what the playoffs are going to be. While the AFC they have 9 teams. So rather the Ravens don't make it. Raiders, one of those wild card teams isn't going to make it. And we both think it's the Browns, which I think it most likely is going to be. But
Browns and Dolphins, really.
yeah, at least right now, the Dolphins aren't in the playoffs right now. But yes, I think
Yeah.
Dolphins and Browns miss out.
Like two of these out of our five, what is it? We have like five wild card contenders. Out of those five, two have to miss. So
yeah, and we both agree it's Browns and Dolphins.
Yeah. Although I don't know. Like I will say, I don't know. Like it's probably more likely that one of those two out of the Browns and Dolphins, it's more likely that one of them makes it than doesn't. I don't know.
It's going to be pretty wild, I would say, at the end of the AFC playoff picture.
Although I will say I really am pretty confident that the Colts make it as a wild card, or the Titans if the Titans are the wild card.
Yeah, well, this game this week's going to be pretty big. I mean, if the Colts win, it's probably their division. They could have both wins, they have the head-to-head against the Titans, so they have one more win just in general. And the way that they would have been playing then, with beating the Titans on Thursday night, then beating Packers in a great game, and then beating the Titans again, I mean, that'd be tough to, for them not to win the division at that point.
Yeah, honestly, like the Colts. I mean, I picked the Titans, but the Colts. I mean, they won 34-17, then they just beat the Ravens, and now they play the Titans again. It's gonna be
tight at the end. Yep.
Yeah. All right, we'll move over to our Thanksgiving picks. Just to recap, last week I went 1-4, and Brandon went 0-5 for the picks. So that shows what we know. I am 9-11, and Brandon is 6-14. So
not great so far.
This Thanksgiving definitely. I'm looking to get to above 500 with these three picks.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can at least get 2 out of 3.
All right, so we'll start off with the first game, Texans and Lions. Houston is favored by 3. I guess you're going first.
Yeah, I can go first. I'm gonna go Texans. I was trying to convince myself to go Lions, but
I'll do it then. I'll be the one to go Lions. I'll go Lions. Yeah, right. I don't know. Thanksgiving game. I don't feel confident in either team winning. Like I don't like either team, so it's just like same. I'll just take the 3 points, whatever.
That's kind of why I was trying to say Lions, because I was like, I don't even know who's going to win this game. Like I don't even know what this game's going to look like.
I think Patricia is fighting for his job. Like I don't know.
He is too. I think if they lose, he's fired, right? I mean, he has to be.
I don't know if he's fired, but I mean, they might just wait till the end of the year because what's the point in firing right now? I don't know. We'll see, but
I mean,
I'll pick the Lions. They're very desperate for this win. If they don't, then I mean, you're definitely right. Like Patricia could be fired, definitely. I don't know that he would be if they lose, but yeah, I mean, they need to win this game. I'll go Lions. I'll just take the points. Next game, Washington and the Cowboys. Dallas is favored by 3. You want to start this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Dallas. I just think they're gonna win, so I'm going Dallas. Thanksgiving games haven't been the best for the Cowboys in recent years. We rather win in a close game or we just get blown out. But we've usually beaten Washington in Thanksgiving games. So based on that and how they played last week, I'm gonna go Dallas.
Oh, this feels like a trap because Dallas just played super well against Minnesota, and Dalton looked good, and we just both picked the Cowboys to win this division. So because of that, I think I have to go Cowboys here. I'll go Cowboys. I don't feel super confident about it. I mean, both Washington and Dallas, like they're both just such bad teams that who knows what happens. But I think the Cowboys, I picked them to win the division, so I'm gonna take them here.
All right.
And obviously they have the quarterback advantage. So
yeah, I just think they're also a better team. But
yeah,
Washington's defensive front is really good.
It's good.
And the last time they played, I mean, they absolutely killed us up front. So I'm hoping it's different. We have a little bit different offensive line, so I'm hoping that makes a difference. But they have a really good defensive line. All right, last Thanksgiving game, it's gonna be Ravens-Steelers. Pittsburgh is -5.5. I know where I'm going. I don't know where you're going to go, though.
I'm gonna go Ravens. I'm gonna go Ravens here. I'll take the 5.5. I don't know if the Ravens win it, but I think that it's a division game. These teams, both division rivals. I think, the Ravens are looking for this win. They really need it. I mean, they lost to the Patriots and the Titans back to back. The Ravens need this win. I don't know that they get it, but I'll take the 5.5. I think the Steelers win by a field goal.
I'm also going Ravens, and I think they just win outright. I think this is a game that they have to win. Again, they don't have to win it, but I think they do win it. And the Steelers, I mean, look, they're 10-0, but I don't think anyone really looks at the Steelers and thinks they're one of these all-time teams that could possibly be 16-0 or 15-1 or anything like that. They're just not that kind of team. And
yeah.
I think the Ravens, based off that last time that they played and the way that the Ravens have struggled since then, I don't know. I feel like the Ravens, this was, again, it's not a must-win, but I think in the locker room and in their heads, it's a must-win.
It's a division game. I think 5.5 is a lot for a Thanksgiving night division rival game where it's really anything can happen, and I wouldn't be too surprised. I'm not a big Lamar Jackson guy, but Lamar could just have a good game. I don't know. It's Thanksgiving night. This is Ravens Steelers might be the biggest rivalry right now. Who knows? I don't know. You could argue it right now. So. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that the Ravens win. They could win, they could not, but the 5.5, I'll take it, and I'll run with it. Ravens.
Yeah. All right, well, that concludes our Thanksgiving picks. Well, we're still going to have picks for this upcoming week, week 10. But
yeah, in our next episode. I mean,
week 12, I mean.
In our next episode, yeah.
But I guess we have 3 extra games that we usually do 5 every week, but we're going to have 8 this week. So we'll see what our records are at the end. Again, Drew's hoping to get over 500. I'm hoping to just get closer to 500. So we'll see how it ends up.
Yeah. I think that's about it, though. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Appreciate everyone staying till the end. If you're hearing this, obviously, I'm sure you're staying to the end. So appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we're back from the whole COVID thing. So we're looking to get back into the normal swing of things with the uploading schedule. So
yeah, we're both done with that, so we should be good now. And basketball is starting soon. We've been saying it for a little while. We did some draft stuff last time, but training camp starts December 1st, and season starts December 22nd. NFL playoffs, obviously, and end of the regular season. And at some point, baseball free agency is going to happen probably in the next week or two. That the big names will be coming off the board. So
I guess actually, I will say this very, very, very quickly, but just a few moves. I guess Bam signed a max contract. Brandon Ingram signed a max contract. De'Aaron Fox signed a max contract extension. Tatum signed a max contract. I think they're all extensions. None of them were going to be on
Donovan Mitchell. The yeah, they're all extensions. They're all the restricted max extensions that they can get, and then it's based on all NBA teams. It's between 163 and 193, I want to say, or 195.
Yeah.
Which Mitchell and Tatum got that, and then I think the rest got the lowest.
No, I think Bam got 195.
Well, his has incentives. If he makes an All NBA team, then he gets 195. Okay. All of the ones who didn't get the max, that's whatever I'm just gonna call it that. They all have incentives. If they make an All NBA team this year, they can get up to that.
Yeah, I think that's basically all that's happened, though, right?
I mean, there's been a couple trades that have happened, but we mostly covered that. There's been nothing big since the last
time. The Steven Adams trade did happen.
I mean, that happened.
I guess it's not really too much to talk about with that, but yeah, just something to note.
Yeah, so we'll see if the big trades happen, like Westbrook, Harden, if that does happen, which right now I would say probably not, but maybe.
Yeah. We'll be here if anything happens.
Yeah, we'll cover it and we'll talk about it, and
we'll get more into NBA as this is as it gets closer to the 22nd is when it starts.
22nd starts.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for this episode. Thank you for listening. Subscribe. Tell anyone else to listen to it. Follow. we're gonna be starting an Instagram page hopefully soon. We're still working on it, but
Yeah.
be on the lookout for that. And obviously YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff. So thanks for listening.
Yep. See ya.